Everyone, and welcome to lesson 2.4, day 1. Today's lesson is going to review some key algebra 1 concepts that we need in this upcoming lesson, including slope and writing the equation of a line. So with our slope, remember slope is our vertical rise over our horizontal run. So how much are we rising, how much are we running, or sometimes we call that the change in y over the change in x. Now, reminder with horizontal lines, their slope are always going to equal 0 because you're running a lot, but you aren't rising. You are rising 0, but you are running a lot, versus vertical lines who rise a lot but run 0. When you have that 0 in the denominator, our slope is what we call undefined. Now, how do I remember that? Well, this my pal, Mr. Slopeman, comes into play because when we have decreasing lines, they have negative slope. Increasing lines have positive slope. These vertical lines have undefined slope. Notice the little U being created. And then our horizontal lines have 0 slope. So we see this 0 right here. Whatever your slope is, if it's not undefined or 0, we always want to make sure we reduce. So for instance, if we have a slope that's 3 over 9, both of those are divisible by 3, we would write our final answer as 1 over 3. So always reduce if possible. Finally, we can use slope to help us write the equation of a line, which in our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is called our slope, and that's coming right here. That's that rise over run, and then the b value is your y-intercept. So where are you touching, if you are graphing this, where are you touching on this y-axis? That's the y-intercept. So if we look down below, we want to calculate our slope graphically. So looking at the graph, we want to calculate how much are we rising, then how much are we running. So on this first one, we are rising 5 and running 1. So rise over run, could just reduce that to be 5. And in our second example, notice we have a decreasing line. So we know when we have a decreasing line, we'll have a negative slope. So we know it's going to have a negative, and we went down 5 units, and then to the right 4 units. So we went down 5 to the right 4 for a slope of negative 5/4. Now, sometimes we need to calculate our slope without having a graph. So again, we have x comma y and x comma y, and we want to use that slope formula that the change in those y's over the change in our x's will give us our slope. So y minus y divided by our x minus x. When we simplify them, whenever you subtract a negative, it's the same thing as addition. Same thing on this bottom one, negative 3 minus negative 1 will be plus 1. So we end up with 8 over negative 2, which reduces to just be negative 4. Our next one, again, change in y over change in x. So we have x and x, y and y. So we do 5 minus 6 over our x values, negative 3 minus 6. So 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Negative 3 minus 6 is, not negative. This should be 1. Minus 1 over here, because that was the x value. So negative 4. And then the negatives will cancel out, and we are left with positive 1 over 4 as our slope there. And remember to always reduce, and it does not matter if you do c minus d or d minus c, you should get that same value each time. We have 2 examples for you down below. Try the slope in number 1 graphically. And then again, take your values and use the slope formula to find y minus y over x minus x to get your slope. Now, part 2 of today is going to be able to look at these lines and identify what is the slope and the y-intercept and how to write the equation of a line. So in order to get the slope and the y-intercept, we want to start by getting this in y equals mx plus b format. So notice on this one, if we start by rewriting this so that we can get y by itself. We subtract 2x from both sides, and then you want to divide by this -5, and everything gets divided by that. So that our equation of a line really looks like y equals -2 divided by -5 is +2/5. And then 15 divided by -5 would be -3. Or we could just write that as, instead of plus minus 3, just write that as -3. So our slope is 2/5, and then our y-intercept, this is our b value, which means the point would be at 0, -3 on our graph. Same idea with our next one. We want y by itself to be able to see y equals mx plus b. So we would have to subtract the 2x over, and then divide everything by 5, so that we would get y by itself, -2/5 x, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So our slope again is 2/5, this time negative though. Y-intercept would be at 0, 2, because our b value was 2. Try number 3 on your own. They already have it in y equals format for you, but what would your slope be, and where would your y-intercept be? Now, as we write the equation for the line, though, we want to use those facts to help us plug into y equals mx plus b. So notice in this first one, they are giving us a slope, an m value of 3/4, and then they're telling us a point our line is going through. X comma y is 4 comma 0, right? 4 is with the x, 0 is with the y. So what we can do to write the equation of this line is plug in our slope for m, but the problem is we aren't given a y-intercept. This is an x-intercept. We need a 0 comma b on that. So what we can do is plug in this x and y value. So y is 0. We said our m value is 3/4. X value is 4. And this will allow us to solve for our equation to get what our y-intercept, aka b, is. So notice 3/4 times 4 can simplify to just be 3. And then if you subtract 3 from both sides, our b value ends up being -3. So because we have the slope is 3/4, because we have the b value is -3, we can now plug into our equation of a line y equals mx plus b, which is -3. So we can just write -3. Again, you will leave the m and the x plugged in, or sorry, the m and the b plugged in. Just have x comma y in your final answer. You don't have to plug in the specific point. Let's try another one. This time they are giving us x and y, and they're giving us our slope is 2. So as we start plugging this in, y equals mx plus b, again, if we knew what b was, life would be good, right? Because that's what we need our final answer to be. Problem is we don't know what b is. We know that y is -3. We know x is -1. And this can allow us to actually solve for what b is. So -3 equals 2 times -1, which is -2, plus b. Add the 2 over. We end up getting -1 to be our value of b. So m, again, is 2. B is -1. Equation for our line is y equals mx plus b, or in this case, -1. Okay. Last page has an example for you to try. Again, they're giving you a slope, they're giving you an x and a y. Plug in, and ultimately you want to write the equation. So you want your final answer to look like this, right? Again, y equals mx plus b, but you want to solve and actually plug in for that. Okay, so find b first, and then once you get that, plug in to get your final equation. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll work more with these in class.